Hippos are among the most formidable and iconic creatures of the African rivers and wetlands, known for their immense size, powerful jaws, and semi-aquatic lifestyle. Yet beneath their seemingly simple exterior lies a complex and fascinating adaptation, the ability to produce their own natural sunscreen. Observing a hippo in its natural habitat, one might notice it wallowing lazily in the shallow waters of a river, sunning itself on the banks, or submerged with only its eyes and nostrils above the surface. To the casual observer, this behavior might seem purely recreational, a strategy for cooling off in the searing heat of the African sun. But what is happening on a biological level is far more intricate. Hippos secrete a reddish-orange, viscous substance from specialized glands in their skin, which acts both as a sunscreen and as a kind of antiseptic. This secretion, sometimes called blood sweat due to its color, is not actually blood or sweat but a unique mixture of pigments and chemicals that protect the hippo from harmful ultraviolet rays while also guarding against bacterial and fungal infections that could thrive in their wet, muddy habitats. The discovery of this secretion challenged early assumptions about mammalian skin adaptations. Scientists studying hippos initially thought that their thick, nearly hairless skin, sometimes over 2 inches thick, was sufficient to protect them from the intense equatorial sun. However, careful observation and laboratory analysis revealed that the reddish secretion was far more than cosmetic. It contains pigments such as hipposudoric acid and noroposudoric acid, compounds that absorb ultraviolet radiation and shield underlying tissues from the damage that can lead to sunburn, inflammation, and long-term cellular mutations. Unlike human-applied sunscreens, which are artificial and must be reapplied after exposure to water or sweat, the hippo's secretion is continuously produced, secreted, and spread across its skin naturally. This self-produced sunscreen provides constant protection, allowing the hippo to spend hours exposed to the tropical sun without the skin damage that would plague other mammals in similar environments. Beyond its protective properties against the sun, the secretion also plays a crucial role in maintaining the skin's integrity in a challenging environment. Hippos spend a significant portion of the day submerged in water that can be warm, stagnant, and teeming with microorganisms. The blood sweat is slightly acidic, creating a chemical barrier that inhibits the growth of bacteria and fungi on their sensitive skin. In effect, it acts simultaneously as sunscreen, moisturizer, and antiseptic, an elegant solution to the combined threats of heat, ultraviolet radiation, and microbial infection. From an evolutionary perspective, this adaptation illustrates the remarkable ways in which species develop unique survival strategies. In a habitat where sun exposure is nearly constant and water sources can harbor pathogens, the hippo's natural sunscreen is a product of millions of years of selective pressures, finely tuned to its needs as a semi-aquatic giant. The mechanics of secretion are equally fascinating. Hippos possess subdermal glands along the sides of their bodies that exude the pigment-rich fluid in response to stress, heat, or the physical act of rubbing against mud and water. When a hippo emerges from a river or wallows in mud, it inadvertently spreads the protective layer across its body, ensuring uniform coverage. The combination of reddish and orangish pigments gives the secretion a distinctive hue, which can be seen streaking across their skin, particularly around the eyes, ears, and back, where sun exposure is most intense. The color has led early observers to mythologize the secretion, giving rise to tales that hippos bleed from their skin or secrete magical fluids, but scientific study has revealed its practical purpose and chemical sophistication. Hippos' production of their own sunscreen is a striking example of nature's ingenuity and the intricate adaptations of species to extreme environments. It challenges human assumptions about skin protection, inviting curiosity about biochemical solutions evolved over millennia. The natural sunscreen of hippos is far more than a simple protective coating. It is a complex biochemical system that interacts intricately with both the environment and the animal's own physiology. The reddish-orange secretion, composed primarily of hipposudoric acid and noroposudoric acid, demonstrates remarkable multifunctionality. These pigments absorb ultraviolet radiation, preventing cellular damage that could result from prolonged exposure to the intense African sun. Unlike human sunscreens, which are designed to act primarily as UV filters, the hippo's secretion also possesses antimicrobial properties, creating a dual-purpose shield against both environmental and biological threats. In the rivers and wetlands where hippos live, water is often warm and stagnant. A fertile environment for bacteria, fungi, and parasitic organisms. The acidic nature of the secretion forms a chemical barrier on the skin surface, reducing the risk of infection in areas that are constantly exposed to moisture and friction. This dual role has evolved over millions of years, a testament to the selective pressures hippos have faced. In the open savannas and riverbanks of sub-Saharan Africa, the sun is relentless, and water bodies can be a breeding ground for harmful microorganisms. Any individual hippo with a more effective secretion would have had a distinct survival advantage, avoiding sunburn, skin lesions, and infection, and thus being more likely to reproduce. Over countless generations, this natural sunscreen has become an indispensable aspect of the species' biology. Its continuous production ensures that the protective layer is renewed even as it wears off from movement, wallowing, or interactions with other hippos. This constant replenishment highlights the sophistication of the adaptation. It is not a static feature, but a dynamic system responsive to environmental stressors and physiological needs. The secretion is secreted through specialized subdermal glands located along the sides and back of the hippo, which release the fluid in response to heat, physical contact with water, or minor skin irritation. The pigmented fluid spreads across the skin as the hippo moves or wallows, coating the surface in a thin, protective film. Interestingly, the secretion appears more concentrated in areas of high sun exposure, such as the back, head, and flanks, suggesting a natural mechanism for targeting protection where it is most needed. The coloration, deep red to orange, may also serve a secondary function. Recent studies suggest it could act as a visual signal to other hippos, indicating health or reproductive status. In this sense, the secretion is not only a chemical defense but also a social tool, linking physiology and behavior in ways that scientists are only beginning to understand. From a chemical perspective, hipposudoric and norposudoric acids are unique molecules. Their structure allows them to absorb a wide range of ultraviolet wavelengths, preventing the formation of free radicals that can damage skin cells and DNA. Simultaneously, these molecules inhibit the growth of bacteria and fungi that could otherwise thrive on the skin's moist surface. In laboratory studies, extracts of hippo secretion have demonstrated bactericidal properties against several pathogenic strains, underscoring its potential as a model for biomedical applications. While humans have long relied on artificially synthesized sunscreens and antibiotics, the hippo's secretion represents a naturally evolved compound that performs both functions simultaneously and continuously. Without the need for reapplication or artificial intervention, the interaction of this secretion with the environment also deserves attention. Hippos spend a significant portion of their day submerged in water to maintain hydration and regulate body temperature. This immersion might seem counterproductive, as it could wash away protective coatings, but the secretion is remarkably resilient, adhering to the skin even under prolonged submersion. Moreover, the act of wallowing in mud or river sediment can help distribute the secretion evenly, forming a composite layer of mud and chemical pigments that enhances protection. In this way, the environment and the secretion work in concert. The mud supports and stabilizes the sunscreen, while the sunscreen ensures the hippo can remain in the water or under the sun without suffering damage. This synergy between physiology and habitat exemplifies the elegance of evolutionary adaptation, where the survival of a species is linked intricately to its chemical and behavioral innovations. In essence, the hippo's sunscreen is a marvel of natural engineering, a multifunctional solution to multiple environmental challenges. It shields against ultraviolet radiation, protects against microbial infection, and even interacts with social and ecological dynamics. By understanding its chemistry and function, scientists gain insight into evolutionary ingenuity, ecological adaptation, and potential biomedical inspiration. The secretion of natural sunscreen profoundly influences the daily behavior, social interactions, and ecological strategies of hippos, shaping their lives in ways that extend far beyond mere protection from the sun. Observing a herd of hippos in their natural habitat, one notices a pattern of activity that reflects both their semi-aquatic lifestyle and the physiological demands imposed by their environment. Hippos are largely nocturnal feeders, grazing on grasses during the cooler hours of evening and night, and spending daylight hours submerged in rivers, lakes, or pools. While this behavior is often attributed simply to avoiding heat, it is closely intertwined with the functionality of their natural sunscreen. By producing a chemical barrier that shields their skin from ultraviolet radiation, hippos gain the flexibility to spend longer periods in shallow water or on sunlit banks without sustaining skin damage. The secretion allows them to balance the need for thermoregulation, hydration, and social interaction with the environmental hazards of intense solar exposure. Social dynamics among hippos are also shaped by the secretion. Hippos are highly territorial and live in complex social structures dominated by a single male and his group of females. Physical interactions within the herd, including play, mating behavior, and even aggressive contests, create friction on the skin that could increase susceptibility to infections if not for the protective layer of secretion. The chemical barrier helps to mitigate the effects of these interactions, allowing individuals to engage in vigorous social behaviors without the heightened risk of microbial infection. Additionally, the vivid coloration of the secretion may serve as a visual cue, signaling health or reproductive status to other members of the group. A hippo with a robust, evenly distributed coating may be perceived as healthy, strong, and fit, while irregular or patchy secretion could indicate illness or stress, subtly influencing mating and hierarchical interactions. In this way, the secretion functions not only as a physical protector but as an agent of social communication, linking physiology and behavior in a complex web of ecological and evolutionary pressures. Ecologically, the secretion affects how hippos interact with their environment. The semi-aquatic lifestyle of hippos makes them both architects and regulators of their habitats. Their movements stir sediments, influence water chemistry, and create microhabitats for other species. The sunscreen's resilience to water allows hippos to remain in these conditions without compromising skin protection, giving them the freedom to exploit riverine and lake ecosystems for extended periods. Furthermore, the secretion's chemical composition may have subtle effects on surrounding water, potentially limiting the proliferation of certain microorganisms near heavily populated hippo areas, although the extent of such environmental interactions remains an area of ongoing research. By enabling prolonged immersion and surface activity without skin compromise, the secretion allows hippos to maintain their ecological roles as keystone species, modifying landscapes, supporting biodiversity, and influencing nutrient cycling in ways that ripple across the ecosystem. Behavioral adaptations linked to the sunscreen also extend to the daily rhythms and thermoregulation of hippos. Despite their enormous size, which could make heat dissipation difficult, hippos maintain relatively stable body temperatures. Their strategy involves combining physical and chemical adaptations, wallowing in water, resting in mud, and producing sunscreen that not only blocks harmful radiation but also reduces evaporation and skin damage. In extreme midday heat, hippos may remain almost entirely submerged, with only eyes, ears, and nostrils above water, ensuring that their sensitive skin is fully coated and protected. At dawn and dusk, when grazing activity resumes, the secretion has already formed a protective layer that allows brief exposure to sunlight while traveling between feeding grounds and water sources. This integration of chemical, behavioral, and environmental strategies illustrates the sophisticated interplay between adaptation and survival, demonstrating how a single biological innovation can influence almost every aspect of a species' life. Finally, the sunscreen has implications for predator interactions and survivorship. Hippos are apex species, but their young remain vulnerable to predators such as crocodiles and lions. The secretion's protective qualities allow mothers to maintain extended exposure near open water while monitoring calves, without risking skin damage or infection from prolonged immersion or sun exposure. In effect, the sunscreen supports parental care, social cohesion, and the survival of the next generation, further highlighting its evolutionary importance. It is not simply a chemical shield but a central element in the ecological and social network that defines hippo life. In conclusion, hippos' natural sunscreen is far more than a passive defense mechanism. It shapes their behavior, influences social hierarchies, enhances ecological roles, and supports reproductive success. By integrating chemical protection with behavior and habitat use, hippos demonstrate a remarkable evolutionary solution to the challenges of life in Africa's sun-drenched wetlands. The natural sunscreen of hippos, beyond its immediate role in protecting the animal from the harsh equatorial sun, offers profound insights into evolutionary ingenuity, ecological interdependence, and even potential human applications. From an evolutionary standpoint, this secretion is a striking example of how a single adaptation can serve multiple critical functions, enhancing survival and reproductive success. The combination of ultraviolet protection, antimicrobial action, and social signaling demonstrates that evolution often favors solutions that are multifunctional, efficient, and responsive to environmental pressures. In the case of hippos, millions of years of natural selection have produced a chemical system that allows the animal not only to withstand extreme sun exposure and microbial threats but also to engage fully in the complex social structures that define its species. This convergence of physiology, behavior, and environment exemplifies the elegance of natural design, highlighting how species can develop highly specialized traits that simultaneously address numerous survival challenges. Ecologically, the sunscreen plays a subtle yet significant role in shaping the broader habitats hippos inhabit. By enabling prolonged immersion and surface activity without compromising skin integrity, the secretion allows hippos to maintain their presence in rivers, lakes, and wetlands, where they act as keystone species. Hippos influence sediment distribution, nutrient cycling, and water chemistry, creating microhabitats that support fish, birds, and invertebrates. Without the protection afforded by the secretion, hippos would likely spend more time hidden or inactive, reducing their ecological impact and altering the delicate balance of the ecosystems they dominate. In this sense, the sunscreen indirectly sustains the productivity and biodiversity of the environments hippos inhabit, illustrating the interconnectedness of biological adaptations and ecological outcomes. The study of hippos' natural sunscreen also offers inspiration for human innovation. Scientists are increasingly fascinated by the dual protective and antimicrobial properties of hipposudoric and noroposudoric acids. These compounds demonstrate that nature can produce solutions that merge ultraviolet protection with antibacterial activity, an elegant combination that modern chemical engineering strives to replicate. Research into these molecules could lead to new formulations for sunscreens that are longer-lasting, more environmentally friendly, or even capable of protecting human skin from microbial infection in high-risk conditions. While the direct translation from hippo biology to human application requires careful experimentation, the potential is immense. By observing how evolution has solved the problem of skin protection in a high-risk environment, humans may glean insights into designing materials and compounds that are simultaneously multifunctional and resilient. From a broader philosophical perspective, the hippo's sunscreen challenges our understanding of adaptation and resilience. It reminds us that survival is rarely about a single trait but about the integration of multiple features, behaviors, and environmental interactions. The secretion exemplifies how life can navigate extreme conditions, finding solutions that balance immediate needs with long-term reproductive and social success. Moreover, it illustrates that adaptations are often invisible to casual observation. The reddish fluid on a hippo's skin may seem merely cosmetic, but beneath the surface, it represents a sophisticated chemical strategy honed by evolutionary pressures. By studying such adaptations, humans not only expand their knowledge of biology but also deepen their appreciation for the subtlety and complexity of life in all its forms. The hippo's natural sunscreen serves as a reminder of the elegance and resourcefulness of the natural world. In a single secretion, a hippo combines protection, communication, and ecological facilitation, demonstrating the interdependence of physiology, behavior, and environment. It invites reflection on the ingenuity of evolution and the possibilities that arise when life confronts extreme challenges. For humans, it is both a lesson in humility and a source of inspiration, a testament to the fact that solutions to difficult problems often emerge from integration, multifunctionality, and adaptation. By observing and understanding these natural processes, we gain not only scientific insight but also a profound sense of wonder at the extraordinary strategies life employs to survive, thrive, and shape the world around it.